Let's get this. And sorry, I just want to get this out of the way here. All right. So, as I said, please put your name and how many years you've been a member here into the chat. What we're going to go ahead and do is start diving into how you can get more involved with Washington Women's Foundation this year, because we do have a lot of things that are a lot of moving parts this year. So, let's get started. So first, for those of you who have not heard, we have made some important changes here at Washington Women's Foundation. In the chat, we'll go ahead and put a link to our blog post where I walk through those updates and share a link to an executive summary, sort of outlining what's shifting. As members, you're also welcome to take a look at the full business plan if you want to know more about the ins and outs of our current direction. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to look at some of the ways you can get involved here at Washington Women's Foundation and do some brief looking ahead at what this year of 2026 will mean for you. But for now, yes, we're charting a slightly new trajectory starting this year, but at our core, we remain what we have always been, a collective giving organization driven by our members. I want to make sure that that's very well understood. We are still a collective giving organization. We are powered by women who come together, pool resources, and support organizations creating change in Washington. That has not changed, and our updated vision reflects that foundation. Remember that we envision an intentional community of women of all backgrounds united in building a just, equitable, and thriving Washington. We've also refined our mission to clearly state our purpose and where we're focusing our collective energy. Our mission is to provide long-term, unrestricted capital, organizational support, and networking to social change efforts that support women and girls in Washington state. We are a community of women pooling not only our financial resources, but also our volunteer hours, our advocacy, our connections, and our skills, that time, talent, treasure, testimony, and ties to advance the change we want to see for women and girls in Washington. And honestly, the changes we want to see for the world. And as always, the work of determining how our pooled resources are allocated rests with you, our members. Our operations depend deeply on the work that you do together. And today we'll walk you through our new committees and the ways you can engage in doing that work. Many of these will feel very familiar. A few have been refreshed, and some are brand new. All are designed to put members squarely in the driver's seat of our organization. Before I begin, I want to emphasize that this year is a foundational year for our new direction. While we're excited about these changes, and we think we have responded very well to the things that members were asking for, we're also learning right alongside you. Some things will work exactly as we planned, others may fall short, and some may exceed all expectations. So throughout this year, we'll be asking for your feedback. What worked for you? What didn't? How can we improve? Your constructive input will shape our path forward. Not every idea will stick, of course, but every idea will be heard, and we want to hear them. So thank you for being with us in this work. And as always, both I and the board president, Janet Frohnmeyer, are here to listen and connect. I'll drop our emails into the chat as well so that you can reach out to either one of us. And now let's bring Catherine onto the screen to walk us through our general member committees.
Thanks, Maria. Yeah, it's great to see everyone. Thanks for being here. I'm going to take a moment to talk about our member committees and the GET committee, which stands for our Grantee Engagement Team, is co-led this year by Rosemary Dunkel, and Aviva will be staffing that as usual. Many of you know that GET works to build relationships with our grantees, discover ways that we can be of greater service to them, and continues on after the grant has been given. And new this year is that GET will be a longer committee. So ongoing, trying to really establish and build those relationships. And I'd invite anyone who is a part of GET, do they want to say a few words or anything like that? Love that from Stacy. We have Go Get, a very meaningful experience. Stacy, do you want to say anything else? You're welcome to come off mute or not.
Hi, everybody. Nice to see you all today, and thank you for hosting these sessions. They're really important during this time, and appreciate the transparency. Um, so I've been, this is my second year on the GET committee, and we're also changing up a little bit about how we're working with grantees. We have more grantees than we had in the past, so we're figuring out how to support them in an efficient and valuable way for them. So last year and this year, I have worked with the Way to Justice out of Spokane, and they're just wonderful. As you can imagine, they, like many of our grantees and nonprofits around the country and Washington, are going through a lot. So I tried to prepare for the session, the video conversation with them by doing as much as I could upfront research. We had a great conversation and talked about what the Washington Women's Foundation and GET is offering them. We had good communication that I could share with them about what's in for our offerings and what's we're not extending an offering to. And that was pretty clear to them. I was pleased. And then the follow-up is to work with the GET committee and Viva and the Washington Women's Foundation team to identify if there's a person in our membership that could support them. And that there are parameters around that. I won't go into detail, but in the case of the Way to Justice, they were looking for a strategy for fundraising. Yep. And it was a way to work with them, and we're in that process right now. So we found somebody, and I hope we can help. So I'm following up with them, and we're going to connect the dots.
Yeah, thank you,
I hope
Stacey.
that's helpful.
Yeah, that's super helpful. It's always good to hear from our members and how they experience the committees. And I'll take a moment to say many of you have filled out the member skills survey. And so a huge part of GET this year too, like Stacey mentioned, is really connecting, it could be short-term projects, our grantees with folks in the membership who have a skill set to build on. We heard from a nonprofit this week, or a grantee this week, that someone in our membership is helping do a website audit. And that's really helpful, to have different perspectives. So there's all sorts of ways that you can participate. And GET is a great one. So moving on to convening, I know we have a few folks from convening, and if you also want to share, I'd love to hear. Convening is our signature educational event. It happens every September. So this committee really works to plan the convening and help drive participation. So they find speakers and experts in the field on each of our topics that we have panels on, which can always be changing. So I'm not going to say what they are right now because we're not quite sure. But if you want to be part of building that network and that curriculum for the day, this is a great committee for you. You help us find a venue, generally support everything having to do with convening, and this is truly a member-led event and community-led event. So like I said, themes are always evolving. Last year, we kind of took a pause on our grant themes, and we centered the work of women and girls as we are going forward in the new direction. So if you have a deep interest or expertise in women and girls and event planning, this might be a great committee for you. And not to call you out, Suzanne, but did you have anything you wanted to share about convening? Which, if you don't, that is totally okay.
Sorry, I'm eating, so
Oh,
that's why I have my camera off. Yeah, I served on the convening committee the past 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
I think, and it's been interesting the way that it's continued to evolve, and that along with the changes in the mission and the focus of Washington Women's Foundation, and in terms of our granting, that previously the educational focus had been on what our themes were, but since we're not doing themes each year, we kind of took a different approach this year that was really interesting and successful. It seemed, and there was a lot of good ideas about new approaches for 2026. And yeah, it's a great group of people and it's fun. So
I love that. That's perfect. Thank you, Suzanne. And new this year we've had a development and membership committee in different forms. This development committee in 2026 is truly focused on marketing, fundraising, and membership cultivation. We have a few spots left for folks with deep knowledge of fundraising and membership programs. As a reminder, as are most of our committees, this is a hands-on committee that will propel the foundation forward in a new era of fundraising and growth. And this is led by our development director, Kim. So yeah, Maria, I think you're taking grant committees.
Yes. Let me get back on the horse here. So our grant committees, you can see that our new grants are sort of laid out here in alpha. And note that even as we continue doing collective grant making as members in ways that I think will feel very familiar, there are some changes. I really strongly encourage joining a grant committee this year, even if you've been on one before, because we will be asking for a lot of feedback on how our new setup is working, and we'll be tweaking these grants based on your comments and experiences. So join a committee and give us your opinion. That's my spiel for this one. But let's dive into what they are. So the grants, oops, that's not where we're going. What just happened? That's not where I want to go yet. Grant committees. So in order through the year, we'll actually be starting with direct services. Direct services should feel really familiar. It's $150,000 over 3 years. And as you might imagine, we'll be looking for organizations that are doing direct services that benefit women and girls. This is really similar to what we've been doing for years. The member committee will meet, make decisions, give their final two options to the full membership for that full membership to vote on, just like we've done for 30 years. The difference is the time frame from getting the grant applications in to giving the grants out. That will be shorter, a little less onerous on our members than the past, thanks to a couple of new pieces of the process that we've added. One is our new LOI process and the new way in which grants are applied for. And the second is our new rubric that is public. It's on the website. We can send you to it, but make some decision making at the beginning quicker so that conversations can be deeper with our members when they're in those meetings together. There was a lot of conversation about the fact that we were burning through like 2 minutes and talk about the event and then the organization, and then we're done. And members wanted more time. And so more time for conversation, a little quicker time for the actual whole process. More about that if you join the committee. But that's direct services should feel really familiar. That one is open now. That committee is open now. And we'll be giving you more information about how to sign up in a bit. Place-based will be actually our next one, also a spring grants. Place-based is our experiment with both place and participatory grant making. The decision for this one will be made by the member committee, and the nonprofit and local experts will be inviting from the community to join us in our learning and in our collective grant making. We'll be in Yakima for this first one, and the place-based grant is a long weekend. So Thursday through Sunday, go to Yakima. There'll probably be one pre-meeting for this one, get everybody sorted, and then all the learning and grant making takes place on site that weekend. This is the only grant where there will be an additional cost for the food and the hotel rooms and the van, because we're going to do a field trip learning excursion when we're there. So things like that will need to be paid for outside of the whole membership support. This is also the only grant where we will be limiting sign up for the pilot for this year. We're limiting sign up because there are a lot of moving parts. And we want to make sure we can do it on a small scale before we try to do it with a large number of members. We're hoping that the folks that join up this year, if you're interested, please do sign up. But the folks who sign up this year, we will be picking your brains a lot for this one to see if how it's working, if we need to change some things, what works, what doesn't. We do see that what's working really right now is that our members who are in Yakima, because we do have several members who are in Yakima, are so excited to host folks in Yakima. So we're having a great time working with both grantees that we've had in that area and with our members there to set up a really great weekend of grant making and getting together with other members. So that will be our place-based grant for 2026. That grant is decided by the members and that community committee. It does not go to the whole member vote because the education also takes place on site. And so, of course, we are dedicated to knowing what we're talking about before we grant. So that's one of the reasons that one is limited in that regard as well. It may be a throwback for those of you who remember, a little bit of a throwback to a grant we used to do, our pilot grants that we used to do back in the day. So little old school there. Advocacy, like direct services, fairly self-explanatory. We've granted an advocacy for the last couple of years. We're just pulling it into its own space and putting it on par with our direct services work. Amusingly enough, this separation and equal footing request was actually in a perfect world, we would suggestion from our advocacy grant like 3 years ago. They said, you know what we'd really love to see is that advocacy and direct services were separated and they both had equal amounts of dollars put behind them. And that is actually what we're doing. So just again, member requests and member suggestions over the years have really dictated a lot of the decisions that we made for our new way forward. This is one of them. So like direct services, the decision for advocacy grant is made by the membership as a whole through a vote on the finalists put forth by the member committee. So now we'll just be voting twice a year instead of just once, right? So there'll be a vote for direct services, there'll be a vote for advocacy, and then we'll move into grassroots. So grassroots is actually going to be replacing, well, it is what we'll be centering our pop-up around. So this is pop-up is still for women and girls, but now it's for women and girls grassroots organizations. What we're calling grassroots right now is organizations under $500,000. So, like our current pop-up, members will be a committee that decide on finalists that are then voted on by the folks at the pop-up event. And we can share more details and questions, of course. Lots more details are coming about each of these committees. Some of them, is it tomorrow, Catherine, or later today that we'll be sending? I think it's tomorrow. That we're sending out an email with some details about upcoming member events. And there'll be a registration link for our direct services grant committee. The place-based grant committee sign-up will be coming very soon. In keeping with that statement, I do want to say this is a critical year to be watching your email inbox, reading your newsletters, getting involved on our Mighty networks, which Catherine will talk about in a bit, because we are throwing a lot of information your way. There's a lot of cool stuff coming, and we want you to be part of it, and you can be part of it if you don't know about it, and we'll be telling you about it in those emails and newsletters. So please pay attention when they come across your desk. I know I get a lot of email, but it behooves you.
Maria, you have a few questions. Christine, is your question about direct services or place-based? I know, Christine, you had a question about grant amounts.
No, just all of them. So is place-based, whoever is one organization chosen in Yakima getting 50,000 for 3 years, as well as the grassroots is 50,000 for 3 years?
The grassroots, let me tell you. Advocacy, direct services, and place-based are all 3-year, $150,000 grants. So each one of those is one organization getting $50,000 a year for 3 years. We make those fundraising goals, we can expand that to 5, which is what I'd really like to see us being able to do. So those are those 3. There are merit awards for all of these, just as we've done in the last couple of years. There's a couple $1,000s for merit awards, people coming up. There's not as much work for our grantees, so the merit awards are smaller. But we've had a great meeting with grantees, prospective grantees this week, and they are super excited about the workload that we're discussing. Grassroots is the only one that's less. Grassroots is $20,000 over 2 years, so it's $10,000 a year for these smaller organizations. In a perfect world, sure. We'd love to expand that too. We can always go up. But what we're doing right now is just promising the amount of dollars that I know we can very safely and easily do for the next couple of years. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. Other questions? Okay.
Wait, I
I
have
was
a question. Sorry, I
Yeah,
put it in the chat, but
I can't see the
so
chat, so
so
sorry.
are there no longer themes then? Is it more of like there's $150,000 goes to advocacy, 150,000 goes to direct services, and 150,000 goes to place-based?
Yeah, and the reason and here's that's one of the things we'll be asking about this year. Do we need to bring the themes back? We
Hmm.
we don't know. Partly because we don't know what we're going to see as we ask for women and girls organizations to come
Mm.
forward. So,
Hmm.
like, we didn't want to make a theme environment if that was really going to be a hard one to focus on women and girls on. Maybe it's not. We already have several applications. I will tell you right now, some cool stuff coming our way. So, right now, this year, it's going to be a little more amorphous, and then we're going to see what happens. And I talked to an organization in Minnesota. We were having a very interesting conversation because she's in Minneapolis, but Gloria is in charge of the Minneapolis Women's Foundation, and they've been around actually longer than we have. They've been around since the 80s. They're not really collective giving. They sort of play with that a little bit, but what was interesting was that they made their choice about what they actually grant in four different sort of categories. So they do safety, um, economic empowerment, uh, health and reproductive justice, and then a fourth one that I always forget. And they did that based on in their first couple of years seeing what it was that women's organizations seem to be most focused on. So we may find ourselves going that route. We'll find out by the end of this year. Any other questions before I move on?
And it's
Catherine, is there
just a
anything else?
reminder, yeah, we'll be sending all of this information out in a post-event email.
Yeah, we should. All right. Board committees. So our board also operates a set of committees. Most of these are made up of entirely board members, with the exception of our finance committee, which includes a few non-board members with some deeper financial expertise. Our executive committee is it sets the annual calendar, helps shape the board's direction for the year. It also serves as a sounding board for me and provides guidance as issues arise. This committee includes our board chair, Janet Frohnmeyer, our vice chair, Allison Varco, our past chair, Cedra Duflan Heidi, our secretary, Karen McKelvey, our governance chair, Aru Chandakar, and our treasurer and finance chair, Nicole Stelner. The Governance Committee oversees board recruitment and board policy. It's a great fit for members who are connectors, who understand nonprofit governance, or simply enjoy strengthening organizational structures. Our Finance Committee, again, mostly board members with a few members who are not, who are our finance experts. They advise the board on financial matters. They work closely with me and with our CFO, Deborah, on our annual budget. This year, they're also leading an RFP process to select an investment firm that can help align our endowment and discretionary board investments with our values. They also conduct a detailed review of our audit and our 990 every year. So pretty essential work is happening there in Finance Committee. And then our Community Resource Group is here as a support for our member community. They help resolve conflicts or concerns that may arise. And they serve as a confidential resource for members who've had a challenging interaction. If someone says something unintentionally hurtful in a meeting or a situation feels off, the CRG is available to listen, advise, and when needed, step in. This year, the CRG is led by our vice chair, Allison Varco. All of our committees, of course, and our organization itself as a whole also have member leadership needs. Here are some opportunities to develop or just expand your leadership skills and experience. Uh, Catherine, talk about committee leadership.
Yeah, thanks, Maria. Similar to years past, we have needs for members who want to fill a more of a leadership position. This with grants leadership, we have a group that meets year round to help with kind of setting direction, talking through what's happening in committees. And then we also have a co-facilitator role, which is one for each committee to help Aviva and other staff um, facilitate meetings and make sure members are feeling good and understand the work and help building community. We also have a need for convening leadership, which is very similar to grants leadership, helping to set the agendas and help with facilitation, checking in with members, checking in with other staff to make sure that all is going well. Um, and with future leadership opportunities, Get is always looking for the next leader. This is Rosemary's second year leading Get with Aviva. She's doing an excellent job, and she may not want to do it next year. And so we're always be thinking about, what are other ways to serve, maybe not this year, but for the future. Some of you may remember we've had, when I was talking about with the development committee, we've had member engagement teams, and we've had different ways of members coming together and engaging with one another that's not officially led by staff. The member activity leadership, I'm looking for a few folks who kind of want to take this on in conjunction with me, talking through, what are you hearing from members? How do members want to gather? Making sure that members feel a part of the foundation and understand what's going on, and building community. And so there's always creative ways to get involved and to stay connected to the foundation. So be thinking about those.
We also, of course, have oh, am I muted? Or
No.
I'm not. I'm good. Okay. I'm like, wait, what's going on? So we have organizational leadership as well, right? So as you can probably tell by now, or as you know, I'm sure many of you, that our members really do a bulk of the work that makes the organization run. And beyond these individual committee roles, we also have a couple of places where leadership expands. One of those is our cabinet. We're a bit on a hiatus for cabinet right now until we get all our committees up and running. But traditionally, this group includes all of our committee leaders, our board vice chair, and me. It's pretty informal. We get together to talk about what people are seeing, what's coming up for members, any challenges that might need some collective thinking for our leadership. So you're supported. People are going into leadership for those committees. You're not just like, go lead something. We definitely are there to support you as you take on that role. It's also a great space for the board and me to float ideas, check in on how things are landing across the foundation. The cabinet very much acts as a sort of built-in focus group as we talk about directions that the foundation might want to go. So, and then of course we have our board, which you as members elect every fall. The final vote happens at our annual meeting in October. We have a 20-member board, and we expect to have 3 open seats this year. Board members serve for 3-year terms, can serve up to 9 years total. The board is responsible for setting the strategic direction of the entire organization. And yes, they are also my boss. So at Washington Women's Foundation, we take the structure very seriously. Our board, made up entirely of members, elected entirely by members, leads on the strategy. As I said, members in one way or another drive this entire organization. Our board members set the direction, and then the staff and I figure out the best way to make their vision of the future happen. So that's how that works. Every spring, we put out a call for board applications. We'll share the skill sets or perspectives we're especially looking for that year, but we always encourage anyone who's interested to apply, even if you're not sure if you check every box. If board service is something you're curious about, we're more than happy to answer questions on that as well. Catherine, can you go over
Yes.
Stevens?
I would love to. Thank you. Core to who we are as a foundation is our ability and excitement about gathering and learning together. So, new this year is our community celebration, which last year was rebranded the Grant Award Celebration. We are moving it up. It is March 6th. And so, hoping I'm going to pop a link into the chat right now. If you have not registered for that, we'd love to see you there. This is not only our community celebration, but it's also a 30th anniversary celebration. We have turned 30, and so we want to get together and celebrate that. So hope to see you there. In September, like I mentioned earlier, we have Convening, which is our signature educational event. That will be the third week of September. We also have our annual meeting in October, and we have our pop-up, which will focus on grassroots organizations in December. We may have another summer event that will go over kind of like how's the year going at the halfway point. So new events will be added. And like Maria said, please continue reading your email. And we're always available for questions, so don't hesitate to reach out. And I
Yeah. Hold on.
think we can go to philanthropic member education. So, as part of our business plan, we have developed a set of 4 educational sessions that we feel will prepare grant committees for their assessment of applications. These will be offered at different times throughout the year and they will be recorded. Our first one is coming up at the end of February, and that email that's going out today or tomorrow will have more information. But look forward to it. It is branded as our gender lens. So we'll be going into, how do we think about women and girls? What's happening with women and girls right now? And so really excited to spend more time on that at the end of February. We'll have a philanthropy, nonprofits, and social change, kind of like what's happening with nonprofits. We'll have specific place education for our Yakima grant. And then we'll explore advocacy. I was just in Olympia yesterday doing some advocacy and talking with some legislators. It is always good to brush up on those skills about how to advocate for something that you care about. So we'll be exploring that this year as well. And just lastly, want to stress that while these are mostly directed for folks participating in grant committees, we really hope that even if you don't choose to participate on a grant committee this year, that you will join us to learn and to grow as a community. And I think we can move on to Mighty. Oh, it is. Sorry,
Yep.
I'm looking at the
That's
wrong
okay.
screen. Okay, Catherine. So Mighty Networks is our new and exciting social media platform just for the Washington Women's Foundation. So it will be a way to connect. There'll be a member directory. We'll have all of our events in the media library. You can message a member whoever you want. You can send them a message, and we'll have our learning documents, committee documents. I know that you all probably have many links from us of documents. These will all get to live in one place. I know that often people are like, can you send me that document again? Or can you share the Dropbox link? And I think this will just be really helpful for everyone because I know those can be hard to get organized. Folks have been asking for a member directory for some time. It was hard to find one, but we're really excited to explore Mighty Networks, and that will be coming again at the end of February. And I do see a few questions. So, Ellen, educational sessions will mostly be on Zoom, and they will be recorded, and but we may have some in person. We're still adding some, and we'll kind of see the hybrid option is alive and well. And then Suzanne, there will be a committee for December pop-up. Yes, that will be the grassroots committee happening in the fall.
Unmute myself and make this small. I can see my notes. All right. So I did want to give a still slightly tentative, but fairly solid member calendar for 2026. This is also something that we will send out. I think we've shared it once, but we'll share it some more, and we'll update it as the year goes by. But we will be starting this year right here at the beginning where we are right now, announcing our mission and opening our grants and our member committees. Next month, we'll launch our Mighty Networks platform and begin classes, all while wrapping up committee registration and accepting grant applications. In March, we'll celebrate our anniversary and our new Way Forward. We'll kick off our direct services and place-based grants, and we will offer more classes. We'll also work with our member committee to spark more member-to-member activity on Mighty Networks so that members can build community more readily and easier. Every quarter, I'll be checking in with an update so members who aren't directly involved in committees or grant making at the time still know sort of what's happening around the foundation. In April, we'll be in Yakima for our place-based grant, continue building connections on Mighty Networks, and ask for your help recruiting new members, maybe new donors to our work. In May, we'll vote on our direct services grant and begin surveying our grantees to learn how our updated grant making approach is working for them. June is for member feedback. We'll send out our member survey and, depending on logistics, hold either an in-person or a virtual meeting to review our 2025 audit results and check in on how things are going so far. That is a little different. In the past, we've checked on those audit results from the year before in October at the annual meeting, which never made much sense to me because by the time we hit October, it's been like 10 months since that year ended. So we're now moving up. We're having two sort of meetings that we meet as members, and that first one will be the one where we look over like here's how the numbers ended in 2025. You'll be happy to know we did come in ahead of budget in 2025. So we had a lot of nice donations and that it was a good year. So that's 2025. We'll be doing that instead of doing that in October, we'll be doing that in May. So or in June, excuse me. So you'll have it much sooner. So that will be happening. We'll also, of course, like I said, be checking in on how things are going so far. In July and August, it'll be a little quieter, but not slow. The staff will be digging into all that survey data that we get back from you and from our grantees, figuring out what needs adjustments so far, whether that's our first two grants of the year, the member portal, the sort of Mighty Networks, or anything else you or your grant or our grantees flag. We'll also be prepping for convening, really hardcore prepping at that point, and finalizing registration for our advocacy and grassroots pop-up grants. Fall, we'll kick things off again with convening. With our advocacy and grassroots committees, we'll be meeting, and there'll be more learning opportunities, mostly around advocacy work. At the annual meeting in October, you'll elect your board of directors, and I will give an update there on where we are and where we stand so far for the year. How are things going? In November, we'll continue our committee and grant work, and in December, we'll wrap up with our pop-up event. The advocacy grant vote will happen then as well, and then I will give a final CEO report for the year. We know that more will likely get added along the way. As you can see, the calendar is already pretty full, so you can assume most of these events will land right where they're planned. I would like to also point out that we'll be doing another member survey probably early January, where we ask about how the final half of the year went so that we can make some adjustments. The board's already ready to sort of approve we'll approve what we're doing in 27 in December as usual, but accepting the idea we may have to make an adjustment if we decide, for instance, we survey our members and our members like, you know what, I think that the advocacy grant needs to be different. Then we can sort of reassess and have some space for that to happen the beginning of 27. So that will be a real clear indication of where we're heading. And of course, I'll be reporting out to you what that survey says and the direction that we mean to go. All right. So how to sign up? For board service, please stay tuned. We, as usual, will be announcing that sometime in the spring. Like I said, I think we'll have 3 spots open as far as we know right now. And we will be clarifying what we're looking for over the next couple of months with the governance committee. And then for all the other committees, email with registration links will be coming your way over the course of, well, months, right? So you'll get the first one very soon about what's coming up right now, direct services, place-based grants will be coming up. There'll be other committees that'll be sort of opening up as we go. So please keep your eyes peeled on our email. Stop share now. And stop that. And now we can just have questions.
Yeah.
Answer.
Maria, do you want to address this question from Joyce? I think you go, and then I can add.
Joyce, please confirm more exact dates in the next email. For which things? For some stuff, yes. For some stuff, no. How's that for
For the committees, I mean, it says spring, it says fall, but to be honest, I can't volunteer for anything until I know that place-based grant is this weekend. Okay, that works or it doesn't. These are the dates for the pop-up. It works or it doesn't. And I
Yep.
feel like I'm sitting here going, this is great. I'd like to do this. I'd like to do this, but I have absolutely no idea if I can do anything until
Yeah,
this
that'll
is-
all be in the email when it comes out. But it won't be for everything, right? I mean, we never know all the dates for everything at the very beginning of the year. Like we don't
I'm really
usually have
looking
a-
for
but for like direct
volunteers,
services, yeah, that's I think the
committee.
first date is March 13th. Place-based, I think we're looking at I have to look at the actual
Yeah, place-based
calendar.
is loosely April 24th to 26th, and we will include that. So these first two committees, we will include that exact information.
It's loose because we're finalizing the hotel block. So it's
Exactly.
just
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I
Next
get
year,
it.
I
I'm just
imagine
saying-
that a lot of those dates will be firmer because we're
I'm
going to
just
be
saying I
starting on
can't-
place-based a year ahead. We just
I can't pick anything until I know what the dates are from other commitments that have
Of
been
course.
made. And
We
I'm
know you're
looking
busy.
for it direct committee.
you
Yeah,
bet.
absolutely.
Direct
And
services is yeah.
yeah, that link, everyone did get an email last week with direct services sign up and convening sign up, and those had the dates in them. Direct services, and we'll resend that. Direct services starts on March 12th. And in the chat, I did provide the link for the overview doc of that, and we will send that out again. So apologies for all the emails that are coming to you, but we like more communication than less. So hopefully that also works for you.
My apologies if I missed it.
That's
No,
okay. That's why we send things more than once.
Okay.
Yeah, looking for dates, but I obviously didn't click the right link.
Yeah, I can pull it up right now. March 12th, 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. will be meeting one kickoff for the direct services. And then it'll be March 26th, 9:30 to 11:30 for the second meeting, and April 9th, 9:30 to 11:30 for the third meeting. There'll be some conversations that take place between April 27th and May 7th. And then the final decision-making meeting will be May 14th, 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. And then that goes to the member for the vote. Yeah, Cecilia.
Hi, it's so good to see you all.
Isn't it great?
Happy New Year. So I'm just year 2. I know we're trying with Jerry to figure out my memberships, but I feel like I'm ready for a committee. So this has been great as like, okay, these are how we're restructuring and the opportunities. And it sounds like there's so much more engagement and participation and just dialogue with the members, which I'm really excited about. And I'm with you, Joyce. Like, I want to know all of them, map them out on my calendar because I want to do all of them. I think it would be helpful just to understand the scope of like time investment and effort for some of these things. Because as a newbie, I don't like, there's enthusiasm and there's energy, but I just don't want to overcommit. And this new kind of like groundswell of what comes up from our communities of their stated needs to then restructure potential themes sounds like very much a human-centered approach. So that's awesome to hear. It's just more of like keeping it all straight of when this is all happening. But yeah, I'm very excited. So thank you for putting this together.
Yeah, we generally try to put how many hours a committee will take when in the signups. I will say this year it will be less time than it has been in the past for a couple of reasons. The first is that our LOI is now going through a portal called Just Fund. More information, it asks for more information from grantees up front, but they never have to do it again except for updates if they want to. Because once it's in our system as a grant that is for a women and girls organization, it's there forever. So they can decide whether they want to update it. They can decide whether they want to change things as we change what we do. That's up to them. But we have a lot more information going in. So we'll have budget information going in. We'll have some detailed sort of paragraphs going in. We'll have it's just more detail than we usually get. So we don't have to do as much research as we did. So that's a huge relief, I think, for people. So the research arm is much less onerous. And then there's yeah, I mean it has in there like here's our website and here's our link, here's all of our stuff. There's also, we have a rubric that we've set up. It is online. You can go under grant making and find it. But it is going to be a way in which members, we did this for Rest and Repair Awards and it really helped. So, and a lot of other, I'm on some other grant making. Um, so I get asked to be somebody who helps make other grants in the community. And this is how most other foundations kind of do it, is for that first round in particular, you have a rubric that says, here are the four ways, like this way, they're definitely doing it, they kind of do it, they're not really doing it, they're definitely not doing it. And then you just 1 through 4, pick the number. And so members will go through, our committee members will be like, I think this is a 3, or this is a 2, or this is a 5, or whatever it is. And then you take the people with the top numbers, these are the ones that you're going to discuss. And if there's somebody that you're like, no, this one isn't in our top numbers, but it has to be there, you can pull somebody up. But that way you're not spending minutes and minutes and minutes talking about organizations that are never going to make it to the top because they just aren't doing all the stuff that we need to do. So the timing, I think, should be truncated. We also based this on what was going on with the pop-up committee, which also didn't take as much time as some of our other committees to get to decision. So this is, once again, based on our experience and knowledge of what's happened out in the world. Hopefully your grant making process will be less, won't take as much time on your part. Yeah, Cindy. And then Ellen.
There we go. Trying
There
to
you
put
are.
myself off mute. So I'm on my iPad. It's a little bit different. Question on the direct services grant. Do we have any idea of the number of LOIs that will be coming in?
That is what we do not know.
Okay.
That is the other reason we did not do themes, because we're like, well, we know there's a lot of women and girls organizations out there. That we did, we did our research. We know that that's there. We're doing outreach. We're trying to reach out to people. We had a lot of people on the nonprofit call earlier this week, I think like 40. So, and a bunch of them were like, we can't wait. This is totally, so we're gonna have a group that's great. Like I said, the ones that have already applied, I'm already like, you could be done right now. It's really awesome people out there. But we should have a healthy number. I'm sure it will grow as the name gets out that we really are doing women and girls. But we don't know yet.
Yeah, just kind of thinking about how that process will work with a single committee and how that time commitment will go.
Yeah, the committee leadership has committed, the grant committee leadership that we have right now has committed to reviewing the grants for at first to see if and culling them. And Aviva and I will also be helping out with like pulling out the ones that are definitely not going to fit.
That was
This isn't
helpful.
women and girls, like that sort of thing, so that our members are really, we did this last year and we
It
felt
was
like it really
helpful.
worked to sort of manage that first round a little bit more than we have in the past.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Ellen.
I was just thinking that there are so many changes, and I was thinking about Joyce's comment about dates and specifics, that it might, and so two things. It might be very helpful if we had some kind of boilerplate that was a brief summary of this change that accompanied the messages. Please remember that this year we are making these changes, or here's when things are coming. This date isn't set yet, or whatever. So we know, yes, that's still on the slate, but I have time to sign up. Because we're not going to remember this, despite all of our good intentions. And there aren't that many of us really even here. People who aren't here haven't gotten this reminder. So something like that, Catherine, you'd be really good at that, but that just might be helpful to pull that together. The other thought I had, I just wanted to say in advance, thank you, Maria, for those, you've built in summaries, quarterly summaries or whatever. That's important. And even if you tell us almost the same thing, it's important because until we can parrot it back to you, we haven't gotten it. We're still asking questions. So that will be helpful to have your reassurance we're moving forward. And remember, here's what's still to come. So thank you in
Absolutely.
advance for that.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's been really obvious just in the last couple of weeks as we rolled this out that Look, if you're paying attention, you might get sick of hearing the same thing over and over. I'm going to tell you that right now because repetition is going to be what I do this year. It's going to be a lot of the same things over and over again. So, if you know what? If people could start flagging me like, we know, that would be great because
Then you know you've got it.
exactly. So
That's when you know.
that's
Yeah.
what I'll be doing. So get used to it. That's one of the reasons I built in those quarterly things. We're working on some way for me to be, or for other staff as well, to be available almost on a monthly basis for conversation. So we're building in more communications. I do think the Mighty Network platform, once it's up and running, will also be a help because members can be talking to each other, which I know you have is sometimes a little difficult to do. Everyone gets emails in the committees. Everybody knows how they cannot connect with one another, but sometimes it's nice to just pop on and basically texts people. So, um, yeah, get used to getting bored. Sue.
So I'm understanding in terms of direct service
Yeah.
that we're talking about one committee. How large is this committee?
Well, it sort of depends on how many people sign up. We're sort of aiming to have all of our committees be about 15 to 20. But
Okay.
if we end up with 35, then maybe we split it up and everyone does the rubric and then we come together and look at some tops. That would be a good problem to have. Our committees recently have been about 10 to 15, and that's manageable. We can certainly do more though for some of these. Um, and we're coming up with ways for the place-based because we think the place-based grant in the end is going to end up being really popular to go away. Basically, it's a weekend. It's Thursday through Sunday. Go away. You've read your stuff, do your rubric, have your conversations all day, have dinner together, make your decision, be done. We suspect that's going to be popular. So that's why we're trying to do it with a small group this time. Even 15 is going to be a lot. So trying to do it with a smaller group this time just to see how it works and then rolling it out. That one might end up being I'm on I'm on a national women's collective organization on their board. And they do, because it's national, they do their meetings like around the country in different places. And it's like a week of get together, learn, talk, and then the grant making is actually outside of that week of learning. So it's like a week of learning and then you go away. Very popular. People love it. So I see Cecilia and I see Joyce. Cecilia.
Joyce, did you want to go?
No, I just wonder, okay, I have COVID, so I'm a little brain
Oh,
foggy,
I'm so
but
sorry.
that's okay. It's not bad this time. But the rubric, what did I miss? What's the rubric? We've said it
Yeah.
a couple of
Let me
times.
pull it up because I think it's going to be easier to
I don't
understand.
know if I missed it, and if I did, then I'll just figure it out on my
No.
own, or I'm confused.
You're good, Maria. I posted it so I can just repost it on the chat.
Perfection.
Yep.
The
I mean, is that a new word for our grant criteria?
No, it's not. It's more of a way to um did you post it? I was looking for the
I
link.
did. I just reposted it. It's at the bottom.
Perfect.
No.
Thank you.
Then
I
I
just
can
don't.
share my screen and you can see it, and that'll make more sense. It didn't quite translate, I think, as well as we would have liked into the website. That's another thing that's going to be changing. So, because right now it's hard. So the rubric has questions that connect directly to our grant criteria, right? We have our grant criteria, and the rubric lines up with that grant criteria. And so the rubric is something that all of our grantees have access to. And here's what it looks like. So you'll go through, and this is all built into the Just Fund platform. So you'll read through your organization, it'll be right there, and then you'll rank them. Are they intentional? On a scale of 1 to 4, with 4 being outstanding, assess the organization's intentional focus on providing services or advocating for women and girls most impacted by inequities. And then we have sort of like, what do we mean by exceptional? What do we mean by meets expectations? What do we mean by needs improvement? What do we mean by not a fit? So you'll go through, and there's a place for you to put notes, right? So you go through and you're like, oh, they're exceptional. This organization is explicitly focused on improving the lives of women and girls most impacted by inequities. Or the information we have that they've given us indicates that this organization does not explicitly focus on women and girls, or somewhere in between, right? Yeah, they focus on women and girls, That's great. They benefit them. They're not explicitly focused, but sure, they benefit them. We may find that you could be in meets expectations and they benefit them, but they're not explicitly focused. So, for instance, King County sexual assault, they meet expectations because they benefit women and girls, often most impacted by inequities, but they're not explicitly focused on them because they also serve boys who have been impacted by sexual assault. Now, you could be a 3 here, but then be a 4 in accountable to women and girls. You could be a 4 in they're demonstrating achievable, equitable outcomes for women and girls, but not necessarily always solely focused on them. We're hoping that what will happen is that this will sort of filter through the ones that are really exceptional organizations doing the criteria that we've asked for versus those that are like, you're great, but you're just not quite. And then the notes in the side are things that we'll be taking back, not with names, so that all of our grantees are able to understand where it is that they fell down in our estimation, not fell down, where they did not meet the expectations we were looking for our particular grants. Not that they're terrible, but that this is what we were looking for. So this is just a matter of clarifying both for our members and for our grantees. This is what we're looking for, right? This is what we're looking for. And I think that's one of the things that we've had, that criticism has come to us both from nonprofits and from our own members. That they're like, I don't know what you mean by like they do that. And so we're trying to make it really clear. And then you can say, oh, they're a 12, they're a 7. We're going to take all the 12s and we're going to put them at the top. And those, if there's anybody that you think should be up here that's not a 12, now is your time to speak a piece. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and just filter through these ones. We're hoping that will speed up the process and have less of those times when you're like, for 2 minutes, talk about this organization, when that organization honestly is never really going to be exceptional for what we are looking for. Does that help, Joyce? Is that okay?
Hugely. Thank you.
Okay.
I really
Right.
appreciate it.
No problem. All right. Any other questions? And of course, there'll be lots of times to ask questions in the future as well. But yeah, anybody? I know we're
Julia,
at
did
time.
you have another question?
I can wait. I mean, I'm more interested in outreach to get more members, and so I have to read through what you send to make sure where that fits in the strategy and in the plan. But and maybe the matching of organizations and volunteering opportunities in the outcome of gaining new members would be just it. So I'm just curious to talk about that more and what that looks like this year.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of appetite.
Yeah, well, the development committee might be a place for you to think about. Yeah,
Okay.
because that's what they're going to be focusing on is members, fundraising, marketing, getting the word out there, and getting people in the door.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that direction.
You bet. Other questions? All right, you're welcome to go. We're at time, so if you need to move on, that's good. But I'm happy to stay. I've got weirdly do not have a meeting right now, so I'm happy to stay and answer questions if needed.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.